Hello darlings, and welcome to the video. It's time for another Tea Time Tales. Today we're going to be talking about my only experience performing poetry live. This was back in high school and it was an interesting experience. So grab your tea. I am drinking orange blossom oolong tea from Top of the Morning Coffee. This is an Akio tea cup that I got from a friend. I am a Hufflepuff, but she didn't know that at the time. But you know what? My favorite color is red, so that is okay. So let's get started. So I take you back to, I'm gonna say 2005 and 2006. There were these variety shows at my school, and it was the first time they were doing it, I believe, and you could just perform any act. And at first I was planning to sing. I was going to sing Jules' Foolish Games, but when I was doing the audition, because he had audition, I hadn't really practiced with the karaoke track, and when I went to sing with it, it was hard to tell when it picked up, and so I kept stumbling over it, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't do this. And I didn't take drama, but the drama teacher said that I could audition with something else if I wanted to, and I told her that I wrote poetry, and she said that she thought that would be really interesting because no one really was signing up to do anything like that. And so then I signed up to do the poetry, and I auditioned with that, and I was allowed into the show. So there was I want to say a few weeks to prepare for the show, and I think that was mostly that the stage people from drama had to prepare for lights and stuff like that, and some people, like my friend Krista, she was dancing for one of the shows, so she had to do rehearsals, and there was a big rehearsal that everyone had to do, the normal stuff. So the first time, because I did this 2 years in a row, but the first time is the time that I choked on stage. Now, if you don't know what choking is, and performance-wise, it's not like you're choking, but it means that you mess up or you forget what you're going to do while you're on stage. And yeah, I did that. I did that big time. So, this is what happened. I practiced my poems, and I don't know why, but I thought that I had to memorize them. And so I attempted to do that just by reading them over and over again. I don't know what tricks actors use for remembering lines or anything like that, because I wasn't in drama class, I was in chorus. And so I was just I'll read these a few times and I'll remember. And then at first I had this whole plan to be performative while I was reading it, and I remember acting out this performance to my sister and her being like, "What are you doing?" I was just performing it. And I'm glad I didn't do that, because oh my god, that would have been horrible. It was so bad because I don't know. At one point in time I literally did, and I'm just ooh, I'm glad that I decided not to do that, because it would have been so embarrassing. So I thought that I had to remember the poem, or poems. I was meant to read 2 that night, I think. And so I attempted to remember them, and I thought, I got this. And then it was my turn to go on stage. And I remember this moment with such clarity. So I went on stage, and everything was fine until the spotlight came on. So I was just standing there in the dark in front of the mic, and then boom, this huge freaking light was just like glaring down on me. And it was like you could kind of see the audience, but you kind of can't. And then my little sister, who's actually my niece, I just call her my little sister because we're close, but she was in the audience with my big sister, the one I talked about before. And she just screamed, "I love you, Ashley!" And I just remember hearing her little voice. And I was like, I love you too. And then there was like this whole chatter of people being like, "Oh." And I'm over here like, I don't remember anything that I'm supposed to say. And I'm standing there just frozen in place. So I kind of remembered the theme of the poem. So I was like, I'm just going to make it up. I'm going to make up a poem right here on the spot. And so I did. I do not remember what I said, but I made it up. And I didn't run off stage. So I consider that a victory. That I stayed for the amount of time I was supposed to be on. I stayed the whole time, and I winged it. But when I got off stage, I ran into the hallway, and I bawled my eyes out. I felt so embarrassed. I remember my friend Riley was there, and she was in drama, so she was used to acting on stage, and she was just like, oh God, oh no. And I was like, yeah. So I just cried. I cried a lot. And then the drama teacher came out, and she was like, you know, you can bring out your poems. You don't have to remember them. Like, it's totally fine. So tomorrow, bring out your poems. And that's totally okay. And I was like, okay. And I just was mortified, but I cried. I got over it. And then a little later, towards the end of the show, some people came up to me. And one of them was like a man. He was like, you know, you just gotta not let the people get to you or anything, you know, you just gotta block everyone out. And I was like, yeah, I get that. And then this girl came up to me that I went to school with. I think her name was Renee. And I didn't really know her, but she came up to me and she was like, you were like so brave. Like, I would have ran off the stage. I voted for you just because, like, it was amazing that you stayed on stage and you didn't run off crying. And I was like, well, I cried afterwards. But I felt really, like, I really appreciated that because it was hard to just stay on stage and try to figure out what I was doing as I was doing it. And so a few people said things like that and were very encouraging and were just kind of proud that I stayed on the stage regardless of not remembering my lines. And that was nice, and I felt encouraged by all of them, and my parents asked me what happened. Unfortunately, my parents were only able to go the first night. They weren't able to go the second night. And I was like, I don't know, but they were all very encouraging. My parents, my sister, my niece, who just thought I did amazing, even though I did not. You know, she was really young at the time. I think she was like 6. The next night, that night, like, I came home, I printed out the poems, and I taped them on like note cards. And I went to sleep. And the next night, I was like, I'm going to do this, and it's going to be fine. So the next night, I went out with my cards. I read my poems. Everything went well. People cheered. It was great. For some reason, I decided to do this again the year after that. And both of those performances went fine. I went out there. I read them. But the drama teacher talked to me about it, and she was like, I'm not going to turn on the spotlight. I'll just have stage lights on. And that helped a lot because I felt less like blind, and I could kind of see more, but like in a less intimidating way. I know that sounds weird. Not having the spotlight on me helped a lot. So I read the poems the second time, and people seemed to really like them. The drama teacher really liked that I was reading the poetry because no one else was doing it. I remember a friend of mine told me that he knew a girl who was working with the drama teacher to do the tallying. Because someone won at the end of the variety show. I think I forgot to mention that. There was like a winner and a runner-up. And that second year was the year my friend performed her dance. And I remember a friend of mine told me that I had gotten a good amount of votes. And I was like, that's really cool. And I knew I wasn't going to win because it's high school. And like, I think each time the people who won were either, like the first time was like a singer, and the second time was like a group of girls who were dancing, a lot of twerking, and that they won. And that's fine. I mean, it's dance, people like that. I just remember that I was surprised that they were allowed to twerk on stage at school. I just remembered that, but they did quite a bit of it, but they mixed it up with like other dance moves, so I think that's maybe how they got away with it. But I mean, they did a good act, and so I wasn't bitter about it. And then I think the runner-up was like a singer, so I was never expecting to win either time because I know poetry, high school, props, not gonna happen. I also was not popular at all at my school. I was a edgy, emo, alternative person. Insert picture of me in high school. And that's how I was. And that's totally fine. I was mainly doing it for me and just to know what it was like to perform my poetry. And that's the story. Those are the only times I've ever performed poetry, and I honestly have no idea how I would be if I did it again. I feel like I'm a little bit more of a nervous and anxious person now, because like I grew up, and I feel like that happens when you grow up. You get like more scared of things than when you were younger. Like when you're a kid, even when you're scared, I feel like you're more fearless than when you're an adult. Because when you're an adult, you're like, life is fleeting, time is fading away, and we're all gonna die. I feel like that's what adulthood is. Yeah, kind of. But regardless, that is my story of performing poetry on stage. Hopefully I'll do it again one day. It'll be interesting to see how I did it now. I would definitely have my phone with me and just reading the poems, because I am not setting myself up for that again. Well, darlings, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notifications. Don't forget to tippity tap in the comments below to tell me what you thought of this video. If you made it this far, then please pick up your bonus points here. And remember, always rise from your ashes, darlings. Bye. Mm-hmm.